episode of a pro wrestling guide for newbies. This is episode 4. This is about matches. Now I want to make it very clear that matches are very varied. I do not know absolutely every match that exists for pro wrestling, no matter where in the world. So I would encourage anyone who knows every type of match, or at least some of the matches, leave a comment below so other people can learn about it, including myself. But generally, in matches, the basic match, which I did describe in my episode 2 of the rules, the basic rules, is that two people get into the ring with a ref. The goal is to pin or submit your opponent. Now, I did not state submit in the original basic match, but basically, that's what it comes down to, just pinning your opponent. But you can pin or submit your opponent. If anyone has ever seen mixed martial arts or basically UFC, Ultimate Fighting Champion, you can beat your opponent not only by knocking them unconscious, but by submitting them, putting them in some type of chokehold or some type of arm lock or some type of wrist lock or some type of knee or ankle lock, which they must submit or they're going to break something. It just depends. In this situation, going beyond just the basics, usually a pin or submit is a standard match. But there are multiple types of matches that you can do. And I'm going to explain maybe one or two here. First match I'm going to talk about is the steel cage match. Now, this is a standard match that can go anywhere in the world. And what does this entail? A steel cage match, if I don't have an image to my right, my left, not my right, my left is when a cage of solid steel is put around basically the ring, which you already know is similar to, well, not similar, it's exactly the same as a boxing ring. And essentially, there are 4 ways to win the match in the steel cage, usually. But that also depends on the stipulation, which I'll explain later. But the basic rules of a steel cage match is there are 4 ways usually to win the match. The first way is a pin, count of 3. The second way is to submit your opponent. In other words, get them to a headlock or make them tap out to a headlock, to an ankle lock, to an arm bar, similar to UFC or MMA. It is similar. The third way is to escape the ring. Now, that's one of 2 ways. Either walk out the front door of the steel cage, because the 2 people, along with the referee, will enter the cage. And when they do, the door is locked by another referee. Usually the steel cage matches have 2 referees, one in the ring and one outside the ring. The one outside the ring is supposed to keep the door locked until someone wants to try and get out. Unpadlocks the lock, because it's going to be with a chain and a padlock, and that's one way to get out. The second way to get out by escaping is to climb over the steel cage and touch the floor. That is the other way to get out of the ring. And while you're inside that ring, generally almost anything can go. There's no rule where you have to do something the referee does not allow. Usually you can almost do anything you want in that ring. And you must escape the cage, or you must submit or basically pin your opponent. Now, there have been many, many matches over decades that have been doing these types of matches. And different places have been doing these matches. They're one of the staples of pro wrestling, and many people love them. Here's another match. This match is a little more violent than a steel cage match. This is a last man standings match. Now, in a last man standings match, the purpose of it is simple. The 2 people in the ring with the referee have only one goal. They are to incapacitate their opponent to the point where they cannot answer a 10 count. So just like in boxing, if you hit the ground, you got about 10 seconds to stand up. In this case, it's the same premise. You knock your opponent down. If they stay down for a count of 10, you win. And in this situation, unlike boxing, where it must be in the ring and they must not attack the person. In a sense, they can still attack the person while they're down, but they must back away long enough for a 10 count to be done. And it does not need to stay in the ring. In the last man standing match, this can be done outside the ring. It doesn't have to be a proximity to the mat, it's to the ring itself. You can have it several feet away from the ring. The only purpose is that that person you're in, basically in the match with, must not be able to stand after 10 seconds. So you also have that right to have fighting outside the ring, as well as use any type of instrument you want. You can use a broom. You can use a steel steps that have been used in many matches. You can use water. You can use duct tape. You can use whatever that is available around the ring, or under it for that matter. They have actually used canes. Not like the canes where you walk if you're on crutches or something, but a Singapore cane, or a kendo stick. That is another thing that they allow to use. They can use kendo sticks. The types that are used in kendo fighting, well, an equivalent of a kendo stick, they also can use that to incapacitate their opponent and pretty much stay down on the ground until the 10 count is done. Now, there has been known that with these types of matches, blood is sometimes possible. You can cut someone open with this, or hurt them. You can break bones that way. It has been known to actually happen. And I wish to state this very clearly, that yes, wrestling is scripted. It is a predetermined person who can win the match. But, and I want to make this very clear, but a person who is a pro wrestler can still get hurt. And I will be doing an explanation of injuries in the next video. But essentially, you can actually get hurt in these matches. They're not gentle. This is a very rough and gruesome match. Actually more grueling than a steel cage match. But in the end, these are the types of things, and there are many more matches. You can do a stipulation match for just submission. You can do a stipulation match that is, I quit, where you must give up. If you can't take it anymore, you must say to the ref, I quit. There's a lot more to it. But basically, those are the types of matches pro wrestling can do. They're very large. This is just a small sample of what wrestling matches can be. But this is just my point of view and interpretation of pro wrestling. What's yours? So I hope you enjoyed this, a pro wrestling guide for noobs. Please leave a comment below. Watch for episode 5, which will probably be injury. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.